Hey everyone, welcome back to another fabulous episode of Blood, Books, and Binge-Watching, where we are diving into the second half of A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Megan.
And we are here to conclude this crazy, crazy book. Before we dive in, we just wanted to take a second to mention that we will be dropping a new episode every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So if we've kept you around this long and you enjoy what we're doing, make sure to subscribe and have all the notifications, bells, and whistles turned on so you can stay on this ride with us.
Heck yes. Go do that. Go do it now. Pause it, go do it, then come back. Thankfully, it's all in one platform, so you're golden. Or anyway, to really just kind of jump in, quick recap of the first half. First half of A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, Poppy is on the road with Castile and his band of Woven and Dissenters. And, they come across a whole lot of blood, whole lot of fighting, whole lot of banter. Through all of these battles and travels, we get to see more of the camaraderie between them all, and Poppy just might be fitting in more than she expected to. We left off in Spessa's End, and Castile had just eaten Poppy out while in an animalistic state before quickly exiting the room. And, we went over in that last episode how we feel about the scene. It's conflicting, but at the end of the day, hot. And you can hear more about that at the end of the last episode, which you should have already listened to anyway.
That's right.
So without further wait, let us continue into the second half of A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. We pick up chapter 23 immediately after Castile has exited the room, and Kieran makes sure Poppy's okay first and foremost. She internally fights with herself, is wanting what just happened wrong, and we touched on that a little bit. But Poppy herself thinks, how could I want him so badly that I didn't care about what he did or who he was or what he might do to me? So it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah. How could you? It's an interesting,
Dynamic.
Interesting mindset.
Yeah. Because on top of all of Poppy's first sexual experiences, that's the first time she's had a sexual experience in that not environment, but with that kind of intenseness,
right.
Mm-hmm. She's like,
yeah.
I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, she's never been eaten out before either.
Yeah.
So
she
doesn't even know what's about to happen to her.
That's
Thankfully,
right.
It's good. And I mean, how could we ever doubt his abilities?
Yeah.
So she presses Kieran about what just happened, but he refused to tell her literally anything. So she picks up her dagger, and he makes a joke about how she has a habit of stabbing people, and she kind of fights him on it, but then she's like, well, I guess you're not wrong. And he's not. She stabs quite a lot of people. And he assures her that Castile's going to be fine. He does need to feed, but he's not at the tipping point, and she'd already be dead if he was fully in the bloodlust.
Mm-hmm.
Or she would have at that point been turned ascended by him.
Yeah.
And it's why wouldn't he have fed by now? Good question. Let us find out. Just kidding. We're not going to find out. So Poppy and Kieran go for a walk. He's like, you want to go get food? You want to go see the bay? She's like, let's go see the bay. He's like, good choice. And he tells her about Malik. So gives her a little bit more background about who he was. Malik was apparently always the jokester and the prankster. And Castile was actually more serious, which is hard to believe. But Kieran says that he comes alive when he's with Poppy. I love when people are described having that effect on each other.
Oh my gosh, I do too. I do too.
It is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
He tells her about a time when him, Steele, and Malik went to Spessa's End, and a girl fell in the water. She was drowning, and Castile jumped in and brought her ashore. But I guess there was a whole big thing that you're not supposed to go in the waters because of the sleeping gods or something, and there was superstition behind it. So Castile going in after her was whoa, oh my God. And he took her ashore, and then one of their friends came over and got the kid breathing again. She doesn't describe CPR, but essentially what they probably did was CPR.
Yeah.
this friend that assisted was Shay. And Kieran is surprised to hear that Poppy actually know who that is, but quickly understands that Alistair told her. But he shouldn't have said anything. So we're picking up that people are immediately like, Alistair just likes to open his mouth a bit. Maybe it's his old age. Who knows?
Yeah, because it's like we know a little bit about him, but at this point, he's given Poppy the background on like that Castile has been engaged, and he's told us about his daughter, but we still like, yeah, I'm like, I know he's important, but what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like, okay, you just kind of seem to be feeding information in here.
Yeah.
For what reason? To keep her informed, I guess. And Kieran's like, hey, dude, do not bring Shay up around Castile, like, ever. He gets, yeah, he gets really stern with her. He's like, actually don't. So that kind of, it's not a mask, but that kind of rapport that they have as far as teasing each other back and forth immediately drops, and she's like, oh, you're serious. And after all, like, why is she even concerned about learning about Castile's history if she's not going to stick around?
Exactly.
Like, and he does have a point. She's like, I guess you're right. And speaking of Castile, man needs to feed. So it's not emergent, but he does need to do it soon. And, you know, Castile has been giving her blood twice now, and he hasn't taken in any to kind of replace it and re-energize himself. And remember, an Atlantean needs to feed from an Atlantean, or at least half Atlantean. And when an Atlantean doesn't feed for long enough, as you may recall from the last episode, they kind of go into this animalistic state where they will hurt literally whoever is in their path, regardless of if they love them. And Poppy protests that, well, Castile doesn't care about me anyway, so like, what, that doesn't make sense. And Kieran responds, if it helps you to believe that, then by all means continue, but that doesn't make it true. Oh, process that.
He's always coming in clutch. Like
he really is.
He just calls everyone out.
Oh yeah, no filter at all.
He's
Absolutely.
like, I've been dealing with Castile's bullshit for.
Seriously though, that's probably exactly right. And he tells her straight up that, yeah, like Castile is doing literally everything and anything that will make things harder for him just because he cares about her. So he's like, he's taking the hardest route possible at every turn to make sure that you're considered and you are okay. Like, that's huge. He says to her face that, guess what? Castile cares for her and she cares for him. Like we said, Kieran, no bullshit. He's like, hey, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
He cares about you. You care about him. Figure it out.
Like, finally, someone with fucking common sense.
Yes. Oh my God. That actually just tells them, like, what's what. Like, oh my God, you think you're so sneaky, don't you?
Right.
Like, the only reason that Kieran didn't kill her after she stabbed Castile, like, in the chest way back when, feels like forever ago, was because he cares for her. And Castile would not do that. Or Kieran wouldn't do that to Castile. Like a brother.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He said bros before hoes? Absolutely not. Actually, it's quite the opposite. And, you know, so truths are laid bare, and she can't deny that she has loved Hawk and she wanted to be with Hawk. And Kieran responds saying that he was as much as Castile then as he is Hawk now. It's like, what's the difference between these two pictures, Poppy? Just kidding. They're the same picture. Like, they are the same picture. And the reason Castile hasn't fed is because once Atlanteans find someone that they care about, they find feeding from anybody else to be, like, repulsive. So it's essentially, he's like, I don't know how to properly describe this. He's like dug himself into a corner where he's like, well, I care about her and I have to feed from her now because I care about her, but she doesn't know I have to feed on her. So,
Yeah, like, you put yourself here, bro. You did it to yourself.
Like, yeah, so he needs to feed from her. So cute Gollum's like, he always needs to feed. I will never attempt to do a Gollum voice, so don't expect it. I will reference Lord of the Rings every chance I get. I don't do impressions. So I will just quote the, she always needs to feed. And, you know, let us think back to how Castile had told Poppy that he felt he had known her for a long time, even though they just met. We all remember that? Okay. that wasn't just a cute moment. That's somewhat legitimate. That's a JLA plan. So how we talked about, the last episode, how like they have this creative, incredible way of just planting all these little things that will come back around later. And you wouldn't think that they're important at the time, but it's like, how did this grow into this? So they do not feel this way about each other because their Atlantean blood was calling to each other. Kieran believes it's something deeper and rarer than any bloodlines. Quote, something powerful enough that it has ushered in great change in the past.
Not mates, but heart mates.
There we go. Heart mates, baby. I will admit, I kind of cracked up laughing when I read that.
I was like, at first I was like, I am like a hopeless romantic through and through. I love love. I love, I am a black cat, but I am also very much like golden retriever, right? Where I'm like best of both worlds. I love love. And so at first my gut reaction was like, oh, that's so cute. And then I read it over a couple times. I was like,
it was immediately, I was just like, heart mate. Like they couldn't even just go with mates. It's
mates.
Heart mates.
Because she's got to elevate. She's got to elevate.
Of course.
It's like the wyvern that's a cat.
Exactly. So, but in all seriousness, we love you, JLA. We love you. No, for real. Like, I love this. We love what this has come to. The reveal that it's Kieran feeding her this information. Mm-hmm. It's 10 out of 10 the whole way through. It's just a funny wordplay kind of situation. That's it. It
made me think of the little conversation hearts that go out at Valentine's Day.
Oh, cute. You'd send her a raunchy one.
Just stab me in the heart.
I'll stab you, but not in the heart, and not with a knife.
I'll show you my meat knife.
There we go. We got there. But of course, we get no further elaboration on what the hell a heartmate is.
That's it.
So, Kira, they just go get some breakfast. And I'm like, for all of the questions this girl asks, you're not immediately like, huh?
Right.
What?
Just say that in passing and like, all right, let's go eat.
Yeah. So like, okay, time to go eat. Let's get some breakfast. And so Poppy starts thinking about all of the what ifs. You're like, what if Castile really cares for her? Like, I don't know whether to be yelling at the book or sobbing at the book, because she only thinks like this because she's never had anyone treat her so kindly and like lovingly. And it's heartbreaking, but also it's like mind-boggling. It's aggravating.
It is.
It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many feels about it. And she decides that she needs to feed him, or at least find someone else for him to feed from at that point. And Kieran informs her that the mist between the Skotos Mountains is Atlantean magic. Just FYI, I guess. It's supposed to only make people think that Craven are there, but there actually aren't any there. It's like an alarm system of sorts. So it's a defense mechanism to keep people out of the Skotos Mountains, because just past the mountains is Atlantia.
Yeah, they describe it as almost this like sentient being. Like the mist is, It's a very interesting description.
So it's like, okay, I can't wait to figure out what that's going to be like to walk through.
Yeah,
sentient mist. Can you
imagine you're walking through some mist and it starts fucking with you, like trips you, or like...
No. It reminds me actually of the, I think it's Mirkwood that I'm looking at my Middle Earth maps hanging above my desk now. Because I haven't watched all the Hobbit movies. I have seen the Hobbit movies. I have not seen them like since I saw them in theaters, because hot take, I find them to be trash. But so I can't remember what forest, and that's a bad Lord of the Rings fan of me. But I think it's Mirkwood, where the dwarves go in with Bilbo, and it kind of messes with their heads, and they get all wonky and lost.
Oh, yeah.
So the mist that kind of reflected for me with the mist.
Yeah.
So Poppy tells Kieran that, hey, I'm going to tell Castile that he can feed from me. And Castile's like, oh, thank fucking God. Because, I mean, who would, like, he's not going to feed from anybody else. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So Poppy goes back to her rooms, And instead of finding Castile there, instead Alistair comes knocking. And he wants to check on her as their journey was more eventful than his, given, the Dead Bones clan.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her that he is surprised Castile didn't tell her about moving Atlanteans to Spess's End sooner. So we found out that piece of information towards the end of the last book, or last half. And, he's like, oh, wow, that whole movement of people is like super important to Castile. So I'm curious why he didn't. He was like, I'm curious why he didn't tell you. Like, and it makes her kind of embarrassed because she's like, yeah, it seems like something a fiance should kind of know. Like, if I'm going to rule over these people, I should kind of know what their movements are going to be like.
Yeah.
And Alistair asks her, like, about just how Castile is doing after the trip, since, like, he heard he'd been wounded. And, he's not sure how much he's told her, like, Castile has told her about Atlantean customs such as feeding and the joining. Like, the joining?
Mm-hmm.
And Alistair is further surprised that Castile hasn't told her about what the joining is, as it may be expected of her. And it's like, I'm sorry, that sounds interesting. This? What the fuck's that?
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, well, what is it? So this is an instance where she does in fact press, and she's like, well, what is it? And he's like, no, actually, he should probably be the one to tell you that. She's like, but you just told me about it.
You just brought it up.
Literally, it's one of my pet peeves. And people are like, oh, actually, no, I shouldn't really tell you. I'm like, then you should have said something in the first place. So
now I'm going to hyper fixate on it. I can't continue with my day until I know what it is.
Yeah. So she's like, just tell me. And he's like, okay, fine. Here's what the joining is. Lore alert, everybody. The joining is a very old Atlantean tradition, and it's when bonded elementals take on a partner, so Castile taking on a partner, Poppy, and their bond that they have with the Wolven, so the elemental Atlantean Wolven bond, can be extended to that new partner. So essentially, the bond between Kieran and Castile could be extended to Poppy. And the process of doing this is blood is exchanged between everybody, and with the blood sucking comes the sexy fucking, as we now know. So Castile is bonded to Kieran. So joining would mean exactly what you think it means. Threesome.
Perfect.
In addition, literally, in addition to a threesome, she would live as long as Kieran lived, therefore solving the issue of her aging faster than Castile. So, because as it stands right now, if they're married, stay together, then she's going to outage him. She's going to die before he, shows any sign of aging, pretty much, because of the whole immortality situation. So, yeah, understandably, now Poppy's just spiraling over the joining. Imagine that you are just starting to explore yourself sexually, get some new experiences, meet new people, come to the fact that you're going into war, and just so many different things. And now on top of it all, you have to have a threesome with your to-be husband and his best friend.
I'm going to be pulling out Miss Willa's diary.
You're right. You got to do some research.
I got to do research. I need some notes.
So yeah, she's fucking spiraling the hell out about it. And she asks Alistair, okay, well, would Shay have done it if they had gotten married? And he says, yeah, she would have done anything for Castile. So extra pressure on Poppy, because now if she's Kieran also just told her, yeah, he cares about you, you care about him. Mm-hmm. So can't really avoid that anymore. Now he's hearing she's going to compare herself to Shay. And it's oh my God, this poor girl. This poor girl. And she also asks about King Malik, because he was bonded with a Wolven. So why didn't he just do the joining with Isbeth instead of turning her vampire like he had, in order to make sure that he saved her life? And he says, because Isbeth was immortal and the bonding can only be done between those with Atlantean blood. It's okay, I guess that makes sense. And randomly, Astyr plays the how old do you think I am game? And we find out he is 800 years old.
That's old as fuck.
Damn. That's real old.
He's been around.
And because we get the reveal that Alistair was actually Malik's bonded Wolven. Whoa. So, like, yeah, head explode completely. And in addition to this, Alistair is the one that told the queen that Malek, Malek. There's Malek and Malek, okay? So I'm going to do this on audio for everybody and for myself. Malek is Castiel's brother, and Malek is going to be like the old king who's dead and gone.
Mm-hmm.
So Alistair was the one that told the queen that I'm already doing it. Malek, oh my God, this is gonna, JLA, we love you, but why do you do this? So Malek, the old king, he ascended, Isbeth, and Alistair's the one that told the queen that. This is so difficult, and that's what started the war. So, like, essentially, Alistair being a little snitch. Alistair was a snitch and started the war, essentially. So, I hope that makes sense. That was a fucking mess. But, so, much like the rest of us, because I feel, even just after that 1 minute segment, I feel like I need a bath to go over what the fuck just came out of my mouth. So, because yet again, just another outpouring of information and lore just dumped onto her. And she's like, okay, I need a bath time to go over this because I can't take notes. And so she thinks about the joining. She thinks about Shay, her feelings for Castiel. And speaking of Castiel, he reappears in the room after Poppy is done with her bath. And she tells him what Alistair has informed her of. And he cringes so hard. He's like, he did not tell you about the joining. And she's like, he did. And he fully laughs. He's like, you've got to be kidding. He told you. I would have loved to see that. And it's like, would you? Because it was quite awkward, actually.
Because he describes it as like an old, like dead tradition, right? Castiel does. He's like, oh, why would he tell you that? It's
Yeah. And Alistair also talked about it with like a bit more of a negative, like old timer tone of like, oh yeah, it's an ancient thing. It's really gross that they would do that.
It's an old wives' tale.
Yeah. So after Poppy tells Castiel what she's found out, she kind of gets she starts getting angry at him that he didn't tell her. And he's like, I didn't tell you because it's not going to be expected. Like, it's actually the opposite of what Alistair claimed. And so he's like, the joining doesn't always turn sexual. It actually rarely ever occurs at all, like the joining ever these days. And he doesn't judge if people do want to do it, to each their own. And Poppy agrees. She's like, oh yeah, no, to each their own, totally. So the reason why the joining isn't done so much nowadays is because there are risks, especially for the Wolven. Because if the Wolven dies, so does the other. And if the mortal with Atlantean blood dies, the Wolven would die also. So Kieran dies, Poppy dies, Kieran dies. So that would be a 2-for-1 death. And so yeah, that's a big old risk for sure. And so Castiel quickly circled back to the whole like, is Poppy interested in the joining? And it does indeed bring up the diary, making us all blush. He's like, oh, I think there was actually a chapter that I remember reading in the diary. Let me go get that, actually. She's like, no, it's fine. You don't have to do that. I'm not interested.
MVP.
Oh, God, he loves that fucking diary. So, sharply changing subjects, Castiel tells her about what it was like to be starved. And it's like, okay. It's so interesting, like, if we're not talking, once the conversation reaches like the tipping point of the sex talk, it's like, okay, change subjects into something super dramatic.
It is whiplash. Don't get too comfortable because here we go.
Oh yeah. So it's like, okay, time to learn about what it's like to be starved as an Atlantean. So when he was captured, he was, tortured in that way where the Ascended would keep him starved. And then only feed him a little bit by little bit, kind of keeping him teetering on the edge of like going into madness, essentially. And he would find his way back each time, but he kind of had to piece himself together each time. So it's like, Jesus Christ, like it's just so fucking awful. And so she presses him about feeding because it's like, okay, well, we're not going to let that happen. So feed from me. And he says no. He's like, no, I can last longer. Like, we'll find somebody else in Atlantia. Like when we get there, like I'm good. And she immediately calls him out. She's like, no, you're not good, actually, because you might not remember what happened. I do. And she tells him that she isn't offering because she feels she needs to. It's because she wants to. And she tells him that she doesn't want to see him fall into madness because she cares for him. And he responds with, I'm so incredibly unworthy of you. It's so cute. And he agrees to feed from her if she allows another person to be present to ensure that he doesn't take too much, to which she agrees.
And who do we think that is?
I don't know. Who's Castile gonna be like more comfy with to watch this over? Oh yeah, it's Kieran.
Oh!
Let's go. So it's also so funny to me that, I mean, it makes 100% sense. It is absolutely logical that Kieran would be the one to do this for him.
Yeah.
But it's also just so funny that going from a conversation about the joining in which he would be involved to then being like, okay, well, he's going to be here while I feed. And you remember what happens when I feed off your blood, right? Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
Kieran is the middleman in every sense of the title.
Every sense. Oh my God.
The title.
What a description. We open up the next chapter. Kieran comes in and he's been debriefed on the situation. So he steps behind her. So he's standing behind her and places a couple fingers against her throat so he can monitor her pulse. Okay. And Castile bites on her neck and feeds only a little bit. But Castile's like, no, you gotta keep going. And the longer he goes on, here comes the horny. And Poppy feels it first. And she, oh my God, she starts to, we're not going to get through this. She starts to lean back into Castile, but he then presses her forward against Kieran's body. So like, I'm Poppy. So let's say I'm Poppy. And because this, just let's say. And so I've got Castile in front of me, feeding off my neck, and I've got Kieran behind me putting his fingers on my neck, and I'm like leaning forward into him, but he's like, no, go back into and there's heavy breathing, there's some grinding, there's some moaning coming from her, well, and him too, but just making all of the noises. Poppy is like comfortable with Kieran being there. And at least she doesn't seem to mind as much now. And then Castile hikes up her leg to his hip. Things start to heat up a little bit. And Kieran tells him, he's like, hey, I know, that's enough. Like, as far as the blood. He's like, no, you've taken enough blood. You can stop. And once again, so like, you figure Poppy's legs are over Castile's like hips at this point. He's holding her. Mm-hmm. And he's got like, so he transfers from Poppy being against Kieran, like, so sweet. Still like supports her back, supports her head, because obviously she's a bit tuckered out, and like steps back from Kieran and is like holding her like a little baby. And it's so fucking cute.
Love it.
Kieran checks that like, hey, you both good? And, they both nod, say, yep, we're okay. And then Castile carries Poppy over to the bed and lays her down to take a nap. Thankfully not. He tells her that she has given so much of herself and done so much for him. So let him do this for her. Let him ease her horny ache. It's like, and I don't know what that noise is. I apologize to everybody listening. And Poppy thinks, but what about your ache? And that's goddamn right. She knows. She's like, you have not finished once this whole time. It has been all about her. He's got to be aching in more ways than one, too. And he says that it does not matter right now. And so he turns her on his side. And he spoons her from behind and then proceeds to finger her. But she's like gaining a bit more control now. She's playing with that control, especially after he ate her out and she held like a knife to his throat. Yeah. And So she starts to like, she holds his hand where she wants it, and she just starts fucking grinding on it. And it's so hot. It is woman in control. It's wonderful. And all that grinding, because at some point, like, she's pressing up against him, and he tries to move away from her, but she stops him. And so she's not grinding against his hand, but she's grinding against his cock. And not only she comes, but he does. He jizzed in his pants. And he blushes. So he's the one blushing now. What do you think, Castile? How does it feel? Huh? How does it feel to cream in your pants? Like, damn. So it's like, it's really like, it's sweet because he tries to hide it and he gets all embarrassed. So,
and she doesn't make him feel bad at all. She's not like, oh my God, what is that? Like,
yeah. She's also never seen that before. She's never seen a man come.
Exactly.
So I'm surprised that she probably doesn't even know what happened. She's like, I'm pretty sure she describes it as like, there's a wet spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but she understands that he didn't like piss himself. So she understands that, but she's like, oh, he found his release is what I imagine happened. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And Poppy gets sleepy. Castile leaves to go get cleaned up, and he comes back in just his pants. We get like their version of like a baggy gray sweatpants moment.
Love it.
And Poppy takes a moment to just lay there and just look him up and down a few times, which he enjoys. And it's like, thank you for giving us that POV, Poppy. Appreciate you. A girl. And he asks if he can hold her, and she agrees. And he is surprised because he thought that she wouldn't let him, actually. Because it's a very, like, intimate, it's more intimate than having sex, some would say. So, yeah, he's surprised that, like, she would let him get that close. And especially when they don't have to, they're not doing this to, like, prove to people that they're together, for real, for the marriage. Speaking of, he asks her if they can pretend, and she says yes, but she also lets herself enjoy it. So they're not actually, they are pretending. So I scratched what I said. And I swear, if these two just don't already just tell each other they love each other, I'm shaking.
They're doing the slow burn of
it's slow burning.
It's slow burning. The physical is not slow burning. The emotional definitely slow burning.
Slow burning.
Little kindling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. When they wake up an hour later, Castile has an idea, and they are going to go see the real Spess's end. But they're only just going to be Hawk and Poppy. They'll just be pretending. He's like, I'm not going to be me. I'm not going to be Castile. We'll just go out and enjoy the city together as Poppy and Hawk. And he makes her laugh and then rushes towards her to kiss her. And you can't see it, but I'm kicking my feet. It's so cute.
Because it takes you right back to book one. Like,
it does.
And that's what she continues to do through this series, is just like she keeps building and reminds you why you fell in love with them in the first place.
Yeah. Didn't we? Which only makes the slow burn worse. Because she's like, oh, remember when they were super cute and like actually were open about how they felt with each other? And it's just like, yes, I know. I remember quite vividly, actually. But anyway. They make their way to the stables and they meet a man named Colton. And upon shaking his hand, Poppy shaking his hand, he kind of feels the same static charge that others have felt from her. And it's like a moment of like, oh, that's weird. And it's like, we just keep picking up on that's weird. But no answers.
Yeah.
No answers at the moment because it's time for horseback riding lessons. Castile's like, as much as I would like love to have you on my own horse all the time, it's probably better if you learn how to ride your own. Or not better, but it's probably helpful if she learns to ride her own, just in the event that she does have to go on her own. So they slowly ride out to explore, and Castile explains that he's reclaimed Spess's End as Atlantean land. So technically, they could get married, like, in Spess's End, but not today. Like, no, not today, but like maybe tomorrow if you really wanted to. Because as you remember, in order for Atlanteans to get married, both must be standing on Atlantean land. And as they ride, they come across a group of women that are training. He informs her that they are called the Guardians of the Atlantean armies, and they are absolute badasses. Think like Wonder Woman Island. That's exactly it. Like, can you say mommy? Mommies? Ugh, they are just... And they're training the men, I'll have you mind.
Love that.
So they're running all these drills with the men.
Yep.
So, hell yeah. As they continue to travel on, Poppy is amazed by the homes and the amount of like produce and greenery that's being grown, because in Solace, all of that was purchased since there was never any space or resources to grow anything. So the Ascended built up their cities and made it so that people could not be resourceful off of themselves or one another, and forced them to buy into capitalism in order to supply themselves with money so people can live. And we move on. The town center is a shock to the system. An old coliseum is in ruin, waiting to be repaired, where games and concerts were held, and it's a bustling area. So, you know, it's a busy town center. And as soon as they said coliseum, I was like, oh, so are they in like Rome? Because this other area was called Pompeii.
I know. I picked
so,
up and I was like,
is it Rome? I was really hoping when in the last book, when they rode into Pompeii, I should have said this back then. When they did that, I immediately was like, oh my God, is it ruined because of a volcano? I hope it is.
Same thing.
The reality was a lot worse, but...
Yep.
Yeah, same brain. That's why we're doing this. Hi, how are you? This is our podcast. So, among this bustling area, Atlanteans, Wolven, and dissenters alike flock over to them, and they greet their prince. So all of this about pretending, utter bullshit. And it's also, like, there's all very cheerful. It's casual. Like, they're not running up and bowing or, like, you know, trying not to make eye contact, like, because of threats or anything. It's like, it's so positive. But there are still many of those that then look at her with fear and hatred, or honestly not at all. Like, they don't look at her at all. So there's definitely that differentiator between the two. Like, love him, hate her. And so she starts pretending again. But this time, he was Castile, and she was Poppy, and he was her prince. Let's go. And I know she says, like, I started pretending, and it's like, yeah, but how easy was it for you to, like, snap into that pretending?
Yeah. Because how long do you wear the mask until it becomes real? Until you can't take it off anymore.
Yeah. No, exactly. Chapter 28, they stop and meet up with Kieran, who teases Poppy about the feeding, because why not? And I love this part. He recommends that if she ever wants the feeding to be less intimate, he can always feed from, like, her wrist. It doesn't have to be from the neck. And, you know, he's like, you know, if you don't always want it to lead that way. And he's just... So they banter, and he makes more comments about how Poppy just wants to stab literally everybody.
Yep.
And true. They have arrived at this house to meet a woman who is Kieran's younger sister named Vanetta. Vanetta! We love her! And upon shaking Poppy's hand, she also feels a static shock. Why does she keep shocking everybody? Like, it's the Wolven. It's the Wolven and Castile, yeah. It's electrifying.
Electrifying.
And Vanetta likes Poppy, and we like Vanetta. She is just super chill, and Vanetta's role in Spessa's end is like that of a rise guard. So she knows how to fight. And the three of them, so Castile, Vanetta, and Kieran, clearly have a very friendly connection. They spend the day, the afternoon, they're just chit-chatting, talking, getting to know one another. And Castile also always makes a point to have some part of him touching her at all times, whether it's like his knee is resting on her leg, or his foot's against her foot, or his arms pressed against her, or like he was even playing with like her hair and fixing her sleeves. Like, oh my God, it doesn't feel like pretending because you're not pretending.
That's right. Like,
come on.
That's such a like endearing and intimate, like, I find that the most like intimate moves are like if you have your hand on your partner's knee, or like just gently like back here, you know, it's those like just a symbol like I'm here, you know, in your orbit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I just want to be touching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Vanetta, at some point later in the afternoon, she also comments on Poppy smelling like death. Like she smells like she's old. And it's like, does she smell like mothballs? Does she smell like the candies? Like, and I'll have you know, I forgot this when I was rereading it. So I wrote this note about like, so it smells like mothballs or those strawberry candies that all the grandparents had. And then I read 2 lines down and JLA said the same fucking thing.
Yes, that's
I'm
right.
like, heck yeah, let's go. I have a smell.
Yeah, she gets called out about her arousal smell. She smells like death. Y'all are fucking mean.
For real. I'm like, I know that they might. I mean, do they have deodorant? I don't know. That might be another hurdle. That's the indoor plumbing,
sex education, and hygiene. Come on.
Yeah. So she doesn't necessarily smell like an old person. Castile says her blood also tastes old, probably because of her bloodline. Sorry, Rachel. I saw that out the corner of my eye. I'm like, I'm gonna keep going because this is great.
Sorry.
I got an actual spit take. I love it.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, don't be. It's wonderful. That's great content.
Old tasting blood. I relate.
Yeah. Yeah. And her blood probably tastes that way because of her bloodline. But as they start to get into that conversation, it is interrupted by a crashing noise down the street. So Alistair is carrying a limp woven form. Little Beckett is in his arms, and he fell through a roof, and he broke his legs.
God.
It's so sad. He's just out of nowhere.
We meet him, and then he's gone, and now he shows back up. His legs are broken.
It's all fucked up. It's like, buddy, no. And so they start to panic because the healer isn't close by, but Poppy is like, well, at least let me like use my gift at some point. And they find that it's imperative that he shifts. We don't know why, but they're like, you have to shift back. You have to shift back to your human form. And she's like, oh, well, maybe if I can ease the pain, it can help and he'll be able to shift back. So that's what she does. But as soon as she makes contact with his little body, her hand starts to glow. So that's new. But not just her hands, her entire body starts to glow like moonlight. And I'm like, I love that specifically it's moonlight, because then it gives you the idea like it's a paler kind of white light versus like the bright yellow sunlight, you know?
Yeah. Makes me think back to when I had brought up the moonlight being casted on Hawk whenever she looked at him.
I did not even make that connection, and you made a point to make sure we included it in the episode. And I was like, yeah, if you want to.
My little hyperfixation parts of my brain will pick up little bits and pieces.
Oh, I love that.
That's very interesting. I did not even think about that until just now. That's very interesting.
Ah, okay. I love the making connections in real time. Yeah, I love our brains.
I do too.
So somehow Poppy not only took away the pain, but she in fact healed his mangled legs, which she has never healed anybody before.
Yeah.
Ever. Even a scratch, she's never healed. So not only is she glowing, but her powers are like massively changing.
Mm-hmm.
So Kieran and Vanetta leave to check on Beckett, and Poppy and Castile are now alone. And he believes the culling, or being on Atlantean soil, is causing her powers to transform. And people might hate her even more now, because not only is she a maiden, or was she the maiden, but now they'll also see her as a soul eater. And it's like, ugh, yikes.
Yeah, how do you even tiptoe around that one?
Yeah. So Castile says, like, hey, maybe until we know more about this, you don't use your powers, like, super publicly. And she immediately starts to kind of get on the offense and is like, why would you try to hide me like that? Like, I choose when to use my powers. I was told not to use them for way too long. Like, how dare you try to tell me to do that? And good for her. Yes. Yeah. How dare he? And not only did she help heal Beckett's legs, but we learned that if he hadn't shifted, he essentially would have had to have his legs amputated. Because when Wolven injure a leg, they have to shift back to their human form. Otherwise, the injuries heal incorrectly, and it causes them to never be able to shift again, or shift without, like, they're essentially like handicapped for the rest of their life. They can't do they're essentially like without legs. They can't use them. It's really fucking awful. So it's like, not only was it a big deal that she was able to heal him, but like just the impact, the larger impact that it had of doing that is like saved his life in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
So upon kind of discussing all of this, Castile has slowly cornered her against Vanetta's house, and he's got like the both hands on the sides of her head, like how we just love to read that way. And then he dips his head to hers and he gets super close enough for a kiss. And Poppy's like, "Are you hungry again?" And he goes, "Not for blood."
Ooh.
He tells her to read his emotions, but she refuses, saying she doesn't want to. And his response is it because you don't want to know that it's taking everything in me not to ruin yet another pair of your pants by ripping them off and fucking you so hard that days from now, you'll still be able to feel the extent of my gratitude?
Oh! Oh my god! Shit.
I'm dead! I'm dead! I'm simply dead. I messed up my hair so bad. I'm so fucking dead. Oh.
Just leave me here.
Yeah, just leave me in that moment forever, please. So, unfortunately, we go no further, and he hoists her onto his horse and tells her they need to talk about their marriage. Fun. He wants to speed things up, actually, and marry before his parents arrive, in order to try or like delay or stop them from getting married. So clearly he's already expecting that his parents are not going to want them to get married. Red flag? Much? Like, okay. Not that he needs their approval, like he can do what he wants, but like interesting manipulation there. Yeah. Not of her, but of the situation around them.
Yeah.
So his idea is for them to be married by tomorrow night in Spessa's End. Oh, okay. Then they can continue to Atlantia and have her crowned princess. And while he doesn't doubt his parents, particularly his mother, will love her and approve of the marriage, he'd just rather do it now and know that Poppy's, safe being his wife. He's like, I'd rather just know that you're safe because you have title as my wife. It's like, okay. And, she agrees, even though she knows she's more nervous about things like his parents than he lets on. So, like,
yeah,
she knows something more is kind of stirring underneath the surface here. So she's beginning to be able to read him a little bit better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next, they consult with Alistair, who protests their decision, but he's not going to change their minds. And after politely telling him off, Castile tells Poppy that he wants to show her something. So they essentially go to Alistair, be like, hey, we're going to get married tomorrow night. And he's like, no, you shouldn't do that. And Poppy says, too bad. I'm the prince and you can't tell me what to do. So get lost. And it's like, I mean, okay, you're right. So Castile then brings her on horseback and they see a field of poppy flowers. And it's so pretty, all the white flowers waving in the wind. But that's not all he wants to show her. He leads them to a cave and eventually a hot spring. And this is a part of the tunnels and caverns that he used to explore with Malik and most likely Shay as well. He then leaves. He introduces her to the area. He's like, hey, hop in, check it out. I'll be right back. So he leaves. She gets undressed and gets in. And while she's kind of mulling around in the water, she thinks about how much Tawny would love it here. And she misses her, and we miss Tawny. She was such a fun character to have around and such a good friend of Poppy. We miss her. So Castile comes back, and he's now undressing to get in too. She takes a moment to look him over yet again, because yes, because he's just hard, lean muscle all over, and it's so hot how she describes him. So to kind of get away from the moment momentarily, she dunks her head and she tries to wipe all thoughts of desire away from her, but it doesn't help. Gee, I wonder why it doesn't help. Not only did you just look him up and down for a good 15 to 20 seconds, you're also naked in a hot spring and he's now naked. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. When she resurfaces, he's entered the pool and he's looking right dead at her. He's also been underwater and his hair's all slicked back and he's drippy and wet and she's all drippy and wet and they're just looking at each other. And I'm like, you thought you were going to try to be able to get out of this? Or not get out of this, but wipe those thoughts and feelings away? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. So he backs her against a wall, the rocky wall behind her. He's got the hands on again, the both sides of her head again. And he starts to tell her his idea for how to spend their time here. They have like roughly an hour to hang out. And he says they can pretend again. And mind you, he's also slowly talking through this while teasing her with his fingers. So he's like trailing his fingers up and down her body. It's super hot how he like is able to just tease her physically and also with his words at the same time. It's just, oh, it's so delicious.
Okay.
And Poppy says that she agrees to be with him on one condition, that he is Castile and she is Poppy. And this is real! Yes!
Thank God!
Oh my God. So he agrees. Yes! Makes her confirm that she wants him, despite everything she knows, that this is truly real. And after he says some very naughty things,
I would love to take my time because there are so many different ways I'd love to be real with you. Lay you out on the rocks and lick every inch of your body, make you come that way. And then I'd want you on your knees and your mouth around my cock.
ah, breathe. And, you know, they don't have the time. So he then follows up with,
I'm going to need you to hold on to me and not let go because I'm about to fuck you like I promised. And then Castile fucked.
This scene is so hot. This scene
Best
is
line.
so fucking
Best
hot.
Line.
Oh my God. It's
I
just
was
the
literally on my bed, kicking my feet and screaming.
yeah. I'm not gonna be able to walk for days. Oh my God. I just like I can't compute. The brain just stops working and yeah. The upstairs brain stops working. The downstairs brain turns on. And so yeah, he fucks the shit out of her. And I will say, water/pool sex, personally not a fan. I don't find it to be as hot as people make it out to be, but to each their own.
I feel like this is where sex education would come into play, but you know.
It does. And I know it's not good for you.
I mean, that's how you get a yeast infection.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be having water and whatnot shoved all up in there over and over again. So, you know, don't try that at home, but also definitely feel free to because that's hot as hell. Not anyway, we're not sexual advocates. We are not educators. We do not give out sexual advice. That being said, recreate all these scenes that you can. After they have gone at it and fucks the shit out of her, he exits the cave because Kieran has arrived, he can tell. And then Castile returns with fresh clothes and a towel. And we get a really quick bit of Castile drying Poppy off so she isn't unnecessarily wet. And it's like really cute little like aftercare of him like drying her off. He also wipes her down. And it's very nice. It's very cute. I've never been one to understand really the point of that. I'm like, no, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
It feels like babying to me personally. But reading it in this way, I'm like, oh, okay, this is very endearing. I understand. So they return to civilization for dinner, and word has spread about what happened with Beckett. So most of the citizens are still cold towards her, though, and Alistair offers to escort her to her room instead of staying for dinner, but she refuses. Conversation starts, and they reminisce about memories of Malik, messing with people's drinks and food as pranks. Not in any bad way. It's like, oh, he'd put salt in people's water, or like add lemon to where it's not supposed to be. Not like anything nefarious. I realized as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, he would mess with people's drinks and their food. It's like, not in that way. And Castile would usually be buried in a book. So it's like the Castile we are seeing now is not the Castile that he was prior to being captured and tortured. Understandably so. Alistair tries to strike up conversation, or he does strike up conversation with Poppy, And that leads to him blabbing about Castile's original plans. Of course, he could never have planned to fall in love and marry the maiden, because Castile had been promised to another prior to his leaving for Solus. What? What do you mean? He was engaged?
Alistair is a wet fart.
He just should not have said that. But he doesn't even...
Yes, it is at this point where I was like, I don't think he really has an important part. I think that he's just here, he's fucking idiot.
He's just here to throw wrenches in everyone's plan at every fucking turn. Like, as soon as they start coming together and they have a nice moment together, they kind of, whether it's make amends or have, like, this nice relationship building moment, then in comes Alistair, and he's like, oh, did you know about Shay? She was my daughter.
Yeah.
And he was in love with her first. Oh, did you know that he was actually engaged? But actually, we'll find out more about what that situation was. Because Poppy starts freaking out and demanding answers, obviously. And a newcomer who has showed up during dinner makes his way over with Kieran. He's also a Wolden. And Castile is just like seething with anger because of Alistair's revealing of this.
Yeah.
Because technically he says he never agreed to anything. And Alistair's like, it was all but decided. Which it's like, it helps Castile a little bit because it wasn't confirmed. But like, we still want answers about it. Like, what do you mean? You were engaged and you couldn't have even told me that? Huh? Like, especially after they just had this moment where it's like, oh, I'm Castile, you're Poppy, this is real. Betrayal, immediately. Within an hour. Oh, it's infuriating. So, this newcomer who has stumbled upon this drama openly happening during dinner is Jasper. And he is the one who is supposed to officiate the wedding. Great. That's awesome.
I was going to say, no, it's not Jasper from Twilight.
I picture him as Jasper from Twilight, though. He's supposed to be like this older man, and I'm like, nah, he's just Jasper from Twilight.
It is not the general that has come to officiate the wedding. Just clarify that.
It's just Jasper coming in. That's how awkward he looks. It's just...
Oh my god. Oh Lord.
Well. So anyway, both I'm gonna try to get back in here. Both Castile and Jasper go to approach Alistair because he had absolutely no business bringing this up in public like he just did. And Alistair says, like, you have obligations, dude. Castile has obligations, and including the ones that he has to Gianna. It's like,
who's that?
What? So once again, Alistair just dropping little bombs all over the place. And it's like, Jesus Christ, this fucking guy. So is Gianna the woman that he's supposed to marry?
Yeah.
And apparently she's a Wolven. And the marriage between the two of them was supposed to happen so that it would bring their people closer together. It's like, okay. And an Atlantean in the crowd speaks up about their distrust of Poppy, and she responds, explaining herself. Because he's essentially like, why the fuck are you even trying to marry her anyway? She's one of them. And she's like, all right, I'm laying this out in front of everybody. Yes, I was with the Ascended. Yes, I was also held captive for years, and I eventually saw it for what it was, and here I stand. Yep. So,
you call me out on shit.
Exactly. And Castile, rightfully so, piggybacks off that, being like, yeah, I took her in order to use her to free Malik, but by that point, the plans were changing because he fell in love with the woman under the veil. That's fucking right. And they each finish saying their piece, and Jasper ends the conversation by saying, if you've chosen her, then how can we not do the same? And damn right, Jasper.
Finally.
Just as accepting as Jasper Cullen.
Finally, someone besides Kieran is like, listen, it's all good. It's all good. Everyone shut up.
Right. Everybody shut up. Shut up right now. Everyone turns back to their dinner, and Poppy can still taste the hatred that's pointed in her direction, coming from pretty much everybody in the hall. So even after she's kind of spilled her guts, in a sense, to these people as far as explaining herself, and even their own prince backing her, they still are like, we still hate you. It's like, damn, what else did you got to do?
Yeah.
So Poppy leaves the room and she walks outside. She's like, all right, I'm overwhelmed. There's so much hatred being, not only that, like, you know how you can feel when people are staring at you in public or something? Imagine that, but instead of also feeling their eyes on you, you feel the actual emotions being pointed at you too.
Yeah.
Awful. So she gets up, leaves, and is followed quickly by Castile. And they only get a moment to banter. Oh, no. And she threatens to stab him, only for Kieran to come with summons from Jasper for Castile. And we also learn Jasper is Kieran's dad. He is Daddy.
So now we have a connection of who this is.
Exactly.
It's all coming together.
Everyone's all that big old tree. So Kieran escorts Pappy. All right. Kieran escorts Poppy back to her rooms and leaves her to go to bed. Poppy takes a moment and comes to a realization. She did not hear a lock click into place. So she races to the door and opens it and then closes it again. It is no longer locked. There is no one stationed outside of her door. How long had she, no longer been caged? How long had she been free to go whenever she wanted? When did that change? The thing is, she can't remember because she wants to stay now. She stopped trying to escape. Poppy begins to cry from the pressures, relief, realizations of everything. And props to you, girl. I'm surprised it took you this long.
I was going to say I would have been crying a long time ago.
Yep. She fully accepts, seriously, all of this bombardment of physical, actual emotions and truths and lies. And oh my God, it was so much. I cry in the shower if I have a little bit of a bad day. Damn, she's so strong. Strong ass lady. She fully accepts just how deep in love that she has fallen with Castile. She accepts it for herself. She also accepts that even though she may be in love with him, he is not in love with her. And we just simply it's like so much in commonplace times now where you're like, the point's coming directly at you and it just...
like a false sense of security because the water fucking happened in the spring, right? And I was like, oh, all is good in the world. And then Alistair comes and just shits everywhere. And now she's like, he's not in love with me. Like, what the fuck?
I know. And it's at this moment in time, I truly don't blame her for thinking this way.
Oh, not at all.
I gotta say, because
absolutely,
she is going over everything again. And it's just, deception after betrayal with him. And of course, how can he play with someone like that he loves?
Right.
Easy. He doesn't love her. And so that being said, what Kieran said about heartmates obviously isn't true. Castile had hidden too much. He's withheld too much. If he really cared for her, he would have told her, which valid. Yes. So once again, she goes back into saying, okay, I'm going to just play my role. I'm going to ignore the feelings that I have for him, and I'm going to get to Ian. That is my goal now. What is it? Your magical tricks won't, I don't know, I forget what the quote is, but you're not going to distract me anymore, you hot mess of a man.
Yeah.
You're not doing it no more. She falls asleep and is woken up by a shifting on the bed and a familiar scent because Castile's returned. They banter. He tries to seduce her. What a surprise. And I hate that he has this way about him because we truly do hate him in this moment. It's you fucker, you lied about being engaged. That's massive. Are you kidding? And yet as they banter and JLA describes what he's saying to her, how he's touching her, it's I would still give in so fucking bad.
Yeah,
I would give in so easily.
It's I want to be mad at you. I don't want to be seduced by your bedazzled magical dick anymore.
They're like, get off, you're mad. And she says, like, tell her about what happened to Malik and what's his history. Like, Castile has told her so many lies. So why would she believe him now? Why is he even here, actually? So a lot of just like this, that, the other thing, like just question after question after question. So we're like, oh, okay, this is why you haven't been asking them. You've just been building them up. Castile says he is there because he came to find out if what she said at dinner was true, that she chose him as Hawk and she still chooses him as Castile. So they're coming at this from two very different places here. Like, she is just like angry, livid, pissed off. I'm upset with you. And he's just like, did what you said at dinner really true? Do you love me? Do you like me like that? Like, do you like me? Cause I said I like you. So it's some very different vibes on both ends of this conversation here. But he does eventually come around and he makes his own confessions that, like, he never planned for any of this to happen. He was simply to take her from the Ascended and use her in exchange for Malik. Like, he never planned on catching feelings. But after he saw her and got to know her, everything changed. And isn't that
funny?
Isn't that just so funny?
Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah. Wow. So just when we're like actually starting to get somewhere and we think like, oh, is this a love confession chapter? No. Emil comes in saying, oh, hey, the sky's on fire. Well, that's
the edging continues.
The edging continues, I swear. That can be our first piece of merch. The edging continues. Starting the next chapter, there's a massive fire that is burning in the direction of what seems like Pompeii. So it seems like it's coming from Pompeii. A fire from Pompeii? Whoa. Crazy. And Delano has gone into Wolven form to check it out. So it's roughly a day's ride away for everybody else, but with Wolven form, he can make it there and back pretty quick. So they'll have answers in the next few hours. Overnight into the next morning, the burning smell has increased, and we officially get a scene where we get to meet Jasper. Poppy and Jasper officially meet. He confirms that Castile was never going to marry into an arranged marriage. Like, it sounds like Alistair is the one who may have fed that idea to the king to start off with. So not only is Alistair just, like you said, like a loose cannon, but he's playing these little games. Like, what the fuck
what is he doing?
Like, what are you doing? So, and it's not even a thing of like, what are you doing? It's just like, what are you doing?
It's like a fly swatter to me.
Yeah, it's like, just shut up. I know you're supposed to be an advisor. Keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
Advise on things that, like, they're actually doing, not your own ideas, you know? You're not the idea man.
I feel like Littlefinger, another Game of Thrones reference. Mm-hmm. He's starting, that's what I feel. I think we've had that discussion before.
Yes, because that was the way he talked about Castile's mom.
Yeah.
Was that like, oh, I could have been with her. Like, Castile could have been the son that I never got to have. And it's like, heck?
Yeah.
Jasper also comments on how Poppy feels older. So there's that little piece of like, is she death older? Like, what's going on here? What are these smells? And Jasper is roughly 600 years old, give or take.
Ooh.
And like, okay.
Yeah.
So not as old as Alistair, but still very old.
Uh-huh.
So he remembers the empaths, but none of them all glowed when they were using their powers. So that is different. He proposes that she might actually not be of the empath bloodline whatsoever. They spot Delano running back, and he is wounded. He is in bad shape. So Poppy gets to him and heals him and glows like moonlight again. Then, in human form, Delano says that the Ascended are coming. It's like, dun. Time for a pre-war meeting. Castile is sending Alistair and Kieran to Atlantia to get reinforcements. And the Ascended number in the hundreds, maybe even up to 1,000. Which is like, Remember, they have roughly 100-ish people at Spessa's End right now. Poppy almost says that she will offer herself up, but Castile immediately strikes that down. Like, ha, you thought. Absolutely not. Then Castile says the one thing that he really shouldn't, that Poppy's actually going to go with Kieran and Alistair because the Ascended are coming for her, so she cannot be there. And she's like, of course. She's like, fuck right off. Absolutely not. And Delano makes a comment of someone's going to get stabbed again.
You're right.
It's like, don't make Poppy angry. She's very stabby. She stands her ground and refuses to be sent away, even when Castile threatens to use her compulsion. And she says, you wouldn't dare. And absolutely not. And because she knows, she's like, yeah, fucking right you are. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna. So
yeah,
it's settled.
I love how she just calls him out on his bullshit. I just love their relationship at this point. She's just like,
oh yeah. It's like, oh yeah, you're going to use the thing that you told me you were never going to use on me? Mm-hmm.
Try it.
Okay. Yeah, try it. So it's all settled. She's going to stay, but Kieran and Alistair still need to leave to go get the reinforcements. So Kieran and Castile have a brotherly moment together, and Poppy says goodbye to be safe. Do you want to read Kieran's?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Kieran comes in. Are you worried about me? Just testament to the comment earlier about her and Kieran's relationship, and how he also says to her, protect your prince, Poppy. Like,
you know, she can fight.
Yeah. I just love Kieran so much.
He's a great one. He's so great. Poppy goes back to their room and waits for Castile to return so they can finish their discussion, but she falls asleep. So she wakes up to Castile watching her sleep, which is like creepy.
Yeah.
That's a very Edward Bella moment.
Yes.
How often do you do that? Sure, well. Time for that conversation. Castile pours his heart out, similar to earlier, like he didn't plan to care for Poppy. It completely threw off all of his other plans, but he would do it all over again to get to the same place they are now. Then he tells her about Shay, how her and Malik had tried to come and save him many times, actually, but were never able to find him. So when they finally did find Castile in his cage, they freed him, but it ended up being a trap from the Ascended. So at one point during this rescue mission, Shay and Malik had split up to go look for Castile. And Shay had been cornered by the Ascended, who forced her to make a deal that her life would be spared as long as they could take Malik. So she essentially sold out Malik, saying, I'm here with another full-blooded Atlantean. Take him and let me go. And they agree. And so not only are they going to keep Malik, but they'd also keep Castile. So she just traded both of their lives for her own. And when they are almost caught again, so essentially she sells out Malik, they find Castile, the Ascended are there, there's a couple of them there that attack them, and they grab Malik, but she then again tries to make another deal with the Ascended, saying, okay, no, take Malik and let me take them. But then they're caught again. So I'm probably mixing this up a lot, but essentially she double crosses them a couple times.
She does.
And essentially tries to trade her life for theirs. So even as she's trying to escape with Castile after giving over his brother, she offers Castile up again in order for her to get out. And in a rage, he kills the Ascended, and he also kills Shay with his bare hands. So deception.
Yeah,
grace. Oh, shame. So, yeah, Castile's like ashamed about this, and he's really guilty and holds a lot of hatred for Shay. So that's why he doesn't talk about her. And it's like, yeesh, I understand.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Sucks.
That's a lot. Because that was total see you next Tuesday in all caps behavior of her.
Mm-hmm.
And then Castile killed her. So it's like, it's a heavy load to carry around.
It definitely is. Oh, and by the way, Alistair doesn't know that. He just knows that Shay was killed. Right. He does not know that Castile was the one to do it. Mm-hmm. Poppy tells him that she did mean what she said at dinner, that she does care for him. So now it's time for Poppy's confession time. We're finally getting it. We
go.
She takes him through her thoughts over the last weeks and tells him that she started falling for him as Hawk and kept falling for him as Castile. She says, it's you, it's me, it's us. And I didn't need this Haunting of Bly Manor callback. How fucking dare you? I was nearly in pieces. I don't know how many of you out there have watched Haunting of Bly Manor, but my heart fucking broke into a million pieces. This is supposed to be a happy, sweet moment, and I am just destroyed because of what Mike Flanagan has done to me.
I didn't even think about that until you said it.
Are you kidding? This is all I think about. I'm sorry. It's so fucking sad.
It is so sad because now I'm just picturing. Oh my god.
Yep. No spoilers for where it comes from or why it's related to Bly Manor, but hopefully
if you know, you know. If you know, you know.
And my hope is at some point we will be able to do like a Flanagan
absolutely
series as well, because I fucking worship that man at his feet.
We definitely will.
Getting back on track after having our little breakdown, Castile then kneels before her as she sits on the edge of the bed and tells her to tell him what she feels. Like, touch him and tell him what he's feeling. He wants to know what she's feeling from him. So she reaches out with her gift, and she tastes a very decadent, like, strawberries and chocolate. And she'd tasted this kind of sweet taste before, but from like Ian and from Victor, from Tawny. So it was something, but it was more like sweet. This is a more decadent kind of dark chocolate kind of mouth-watering taste. And it's because it's love. We officially have our love confession. And Castile says, "Your heart was always safe with me. It always will be. There is nothing I will protect more fiercely or with more devotion, Poppy. Trust in that, in what you feel from me, in me."
Love
it. It's so cute. And neither of them wants to pretend anymore, but to think of his parents, the people hating her, there's just a lot to worry about. And Castile says, if you would like to say.
I got it. Let's make a deal that we don't borrow tomorrow's problems today. I love that one.
It's such a good line. I love that line. He wants to start making amends for all of the things he's done and lied about to her. But first, he starts with the most important. And I'm going to try. He gets down on a knee and he proposes. And it's so cute. She says yes, and they are getting married today. Saying to that is, gee, what's that like to have endless worth and wealth at your expenses and don't have to worry about all of the actual planning that goes into a wedding? It's fine. It's fine. You can just get married today. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the seating charts and the food orders and the RSVPs. And I got to get the save the dates out. I am so happy I'm married. Getting married, my wedding was the best day of my life. I love my husband very much. The planning of the weddings?
Oh,
fuck right off.
Yeah, I am not married. I am not married, but I have been a bridesmaid and a maid of honor. So I have seen vicariously, all of the plans.
I love for all of you, any of you that have eloped, done your own thing with the least stress possible to prioritize yourselves. I love you, and I'm happy for you. I'm so happy for you. Because to be able to just be like, we're going to get married. We're going to do it today. What? Well, cutting to a little later, Poppy is bathed and getting ready, and Vanetta shows up bringing her a stunning red gown, because Atlanteans, by tradition, are married wearing a red or yellow veil in order to ward off evil. But Castile immediately made a point to say absolutely no veils.
Love it.
We love it. Vanetta helps her to do her hair and tells Poppy to call her Netta because that's what her friends call her. And Poppy does the same, says, "Call me Poppy." And she made a new friend. Netta is the best. The best.
Love it.
Poppy still straps up. She's got her dagger, not only for protection, but so she'll have a piece of Victor with her on a day he never would have seen coming. And because it was never in the plans for her life for her to get married, to have a relationship.
Not at all.
So the fact that she's even getting married, but also then Victor can't be there, it's very sad and somber, but she has that dagger that he gave her. Next chapter, it's time for a wedding.
And not just any wedding. We get a fucking on-page wedding.
We get an on-page wedding, everybody.
On-page wedding.
JLA, we kneel before you.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you for giving us what so many others have not. Thank you. That's all we say.
Oh,
Thank you. And it's beautiful. It is beautiful. First of all, Castile, all black ensemble. Poppy, a crimson dress. They proceed with the ceremony led by Jasper, Daddy. And so a part of the wedding is that the two of them place their rings on top of a bed of soil, then have their palms cut and run down their arms and off their arms so that the blood seeps, it like drips onto the rings along with the soil. Because remember, it's very important that Atlanteans get married on Atlantean soil. The fun thing about the cut is that while it's like it hurts because you're cutting your hand, the cut heals immediately because magic. The scars, though, will always remain until the union is ended by death or decree. So she has this cool little like golden imprint on her hand, and Castile has one on his. And the rings kind of soak up the blood and soil into them and then go back to looking pristine. And it's like, that's so fucking cool.
it is. Yeah.
The imagery of that is
oh my
so
gosh,
freaking neat.
Totally geeking out over this.
And like wedding scars. Yay!
So cool.
Because like minor SJM spoilers, I guess, but like we know in the SJM world, like tattoos are very big and symbolic of different like bonds and all of that kind of stuff. But like to get this kind of like marriage bond representation is really, really cool.
Love it.
They are finally declared husband and wife, and right after they do, storm clouds that have kind of been slowly gathering around them, they start to turns all black. The sunlight is completely wiped out from the sky. So this is an omen. It's a very powerful one. One that has not been seen since Castile's parents were wed, which is like hundreds of years ago. But it indicates that even though he sleeps, Nyktos, king of the gods, approves of their marriage. So while it's all black, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's all dark, but it's good.
Right.
Poppy brings up what Kieran had said about heartmates, which stuns Castile. And this is after, the wedding and everything. They've been married. They're by themselves. And yeah, so Poppy brings up what, Kieran had said. And so I don't know if, Rachel, you'd like to read. I can read from it. But when I was going through this, I tried to narrow down how to exactly describe the history of heartmates.
Yeah.
JLA did it best. I simply couldn't describe it like as good as this as if I tried.
All right. So it started at the beginning of recorded time when one of the ancient deities fell so deeply in love with a mortal that he pleaded for the gods to bestow the gift of long life on the one he chose. They refused, even though he was one of their favorite children. And they refused each year as the one he loved grew older and he remained the same. Damn. Then, when his lover was old and gray, the body could no longer able to support life, his lover left to join Rain. Not even he could travel. Heartbroken, the deity did not eat or drink, and it didn't matter. The gods pleaded with him. Even Nyktos himself, remember Nyktos is king of the gods, came to this land and begged him to live. He told him that he couldn't, not when a piece of his soul had left him when his lover died. It was a piece he could never get back, and without it, he had no will. Eventually, he became dust.
Fabulous. On to part 2 of that. The gods realized their mistake, that they had underestimated the capacity for love of 2 souls and 2 hearts that were somehow meant to be joined. They were heartmates. The gods knew that they could not bring their child or his lover back, but when it happened again with another of their children, an ancient daughter who'd had many lovers come and go throughout the years, they relented. When she came to them to ask that her mortal lover be given the gift of life, they agreed, but on 2 conditions. Both were presented with nearly impossible trials designed to prove their love. If they succeeded, the deity had to agree to be the source of her lover's life. Her lover would need to drink from her to remain by her side. Of course, she agreed, and they completed their trials. They would do anything for the other half of their souls and hearts. So, a tragic story of a couple died so sadly. So much so that the next time it happened, they granted it. And so heartmates, we're done.
Okay.
Before they can think about trying to get to rest, before the battle to come, Castile has one other thing he wants to ask her. Poppy immediately asks if it's the joining.
Woo!
She has such a dirty mind. She wants that joining so
Love
fucking bad.
Love it.
It's so funny. And he thinks it's hilarious. He's like, no, not that. But it is a tradition that the two of them share blood after being wed, as it's an act of trust. He helps her out of the dress until she's only in her slip, and then tells her to take it off, but leave the necklace of diamonds and dagger strapped to her thigh. Oh, like we said, it turns him on to see her armed. Oh, yes, God. Yes, God. He also proceeds to tell her about the other places he can feed from other than her neck. Where, you may ask? Happy to tell you. He can feed from her neck, her boobs, her nipples, her upper thigh, her clit. Controversial, hard pass for me.
Yeah, I don't.
Keep your fangs away from that.
Yeah.
No.
Enjoy it, girl. Enjoy it.
Yeah, happy for her. If we ever get to read about it, I'm sure we'll enjoy it, but I'm going to hard pass. But that being said, he says he wants to keep it traditional tonight because it's so funny. He almost treats the bite marks like hickeys.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to bite you in the neck so that everybody can see tomorrow, like, that you're mine, that I bit you, that we're
Claim of
wed.
dominance.
Claim of dominance. So he bites into her neck at the same time he thrusts into her and starts fucking her while he drinks from her. Then he takes her dagger from her thigh and cuts himself across the chest just a little bit, so that she can drink from him, and she does. So they drink from each other, they get hot and horny, they are spent, and they fall asleep in each other's arms, and then wake up later to a signal the Ascended have arrived.
Of course.
Of course. At least we got to have the sex scene first.
Yes.
I will say, she did not edge us any further.
That's true. It's very true.
Poppy is wearing a cloak with her hood up in order to not make herself a target, because Castile's like, hey, listen, I agreed that you can be here. I'm not going to let you just walk around with your like bright ass red hair flowing out in the wind. You're going to be covered. You're going to be hidden a little bit.
Yes.
So the roughly 200 soldiers have shown up, mixed with some Vampry, are against their 126 Atlanteans. So it's not as terrible of odds of like 1,000 versus 100, but still not super even or great.
Yeah.
And Castile tries to make Poppy promise to flee if anything should happen to him, so that she can't be taken by the Ascended. But obviously she's like, no, I'm not agreeing to that. They are on the rise of Spess's End, and Poppy's got bow and arrow in hand. The army has 2 catapults with them, and what appear to be a royal. Who's the royal, you say? Duchess Tierman. She's here. She's showing her face. She says that they are here for the maiden. They're here to take it back. It? Even Poppy in her mind reading it, she's like, what the fuck did she say? And she has to, like, reel herself back in from revealing herself. Because I'm like, you did not just call me an it. What a fucking bitch. Poppy, the Duchess goes on a little bit longer, but Poppy eventually can't stand to listen to. I mistyped Duchess as Dutch ass, so that's what she is now.
She's a Dutch ass.
She's a Dutch ass.
Yes,
so
she is.
She cannot listen to her speak anymore. And Poppy reveals herself and that she belongs to no one. And that's damn fucking right.
That is right.
A back and forth ensues, and Poppy and Castile asking if the people standing behind her know what she is. So they try to play the mind games of being like, hey, do you know like what your king and queen really are? Like,
yeah,
how they're actually just vampiries. And the Duchess replies, you have no idea what Queen Ileana is. Excuse? Huh? So don't find anything else out about that. And Poppy belongs to the queen. The Duchess says that Poppy belongs to the queen just as the first maiden did, and just as Poppy's mother did. Poppy was born of flesh and fire. So, like, what? These things mean everything and nothing. Like, what mind fuckery are you doing? Like, what does born of flesh and fire even mean?
Right.
Like, what? And she additionally claims that Poppy's mother was the daughter of Ileana. And so that makes Poppy her granddaughter. So, but Ascended can't have children. So the queen isn't descended. What the hell is she? Like,
Right.
what? The Duchess grows tired of their back and forth and has the catapults release whatever they're carrying. What flies over their heads were not rocks, not flying boulders. They are heads. Return of the King much?
Oh.
This is just Battle of Minas Tirith to me. This is the flinging of all of the heads of the soldiers, and how the way that JLA describes it too, I vividly remember reading like the fleshy sound as they hit the wall.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Just like the smacking. Oh, it's
Flying
so
heads.
awful.
Flying.
But now the next question is, whose fucking heads are these? And it's not just any heads, it's the heads of those who remained in New Haven, including Magda and Elijah.
Oh my
They're
God.
dead. They're dead. So talk about traumatic.
Yeah.
Because also it's worth pointing out, Elijah's head lands next to Castile. So don't know if they planned that or not, but that just happened to happen. By the time they're able to kind of tear their heads away from this awful sight, the Duchess is gone. And Castile looks at Poppy and says, kill as many as you can, and then proceeds to jump off the rise. I'm willing to bet so much money that he did a superhero landing.
Absolutely.
What a poser.
Oh.
The Guardians join Castile on the battlefield and charge the knights and soldiers. Battle ensues. Poppy leaves her position on the rise because, of course, she would do that. And on her way out to the battlements, she takes down 4 soldiers in horrifically wonderful fashion. I didn't write out specifically, but she is like slashing throats and stabbing people in the chest. Like, she is ripping them up.
This scene is so barbaric and it's so good because it's like channeling the energy where she took out Lord Mazine, but now she's just she's like molded almost, right? She's like molding into this new force. Yeah. So badass.
She's in her right mind. She's able to wield that kind of fury that she had when she killed Mazine and better direct it. So it's not like her flailing about and like going nuts. She's going nuts, but like it's controlled nuts. It's hardcore.
And this isn't a spoiler because it's been announced through news articles about how FBAA has been adapted for television.
Right.
Did you know that?
I feel like I might have, but with all those adaptations, I don't hold my breath. But anyway.
Well, I was going to say, and so this is our plea. Whoever is working on it, dear God, please do not fuck this scene up.
You can't fuck it up. You can't fuck it up.
But
I envision this scene being like from The Witcher.
Yes.
That first scene.
Yes. So I had to point that out. This one's so good.
Well, it's 100%. You are 100% correct because it's so easy to mess this up, but please don't mess this up. Yeah. I'll even take like Battle of the Bastards. That scene of Jon Snow, that one shot of him going through the battle had me. I still watch just that episode from time to time because it's just so goddamn good. So among the chaos of the fight, she guts a couple more people, slits more throats, and sees Castile once again tear into someone's throat and just rip it out, and it's still hot. Jasper is also in Wolven form, and him and I believe it's Delano in Wolven form, rip a soldier apart. Like, it is. This battle is bloody. It's violent.
So
it's so good. Poppy eventually reaches Castile. He, of course, comments on how aroused he is watching her fight. How surprising. We're not surprised. And their sights are set on the carriage. The Duchess likely inside there. But in the sky, fiery arrows are starting to just kind of arc and head over their way. So Castile pulls them both under the cover of a catapult nearby. The army of soulless soldiers swarm the rise, and Poppy is losing hope, but Castile says he's going to get her out of there. And they have the most like intimate, wonderful kiss, and it's unlike any of the other kisses they've had because they're married, and it's awesome. If only it wasn't in a time of like panic and losing all hope.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't one of those kisses that it's like, in case I don't get to kiss you again kind of way. So anyway, he's like, I'm going to get you out of here. The Ascended are out. There's no way they're having her. They're just not. It's not an option. They enter the fight once more and start to make their way through the mass of soldiers. But Poppy loses control of her gift and feels a massive wave of fear coming from the soldiers. So it's kind of this interesting thing where, like, they're just chopping these people down one after the other. But Poppy now understands that they are terrified to be here. They are terrified of the situation they are in. So, like, that's conflicting. But one after another, the kills become a blur and a never-ending stream of death. She simply drops her sword and puts the dagger to her own throat. She threatens to take her own life. Poppy, what are you doing? Poppy, what are you doing? What you doing there, girl? It just becomes all too much, and so she just kind of hollers out, like, everyone stop! And then Castiel's like, what the fuck are you doing? Luckily, they start to hear the Wolven, and the Wolven charge from the trees along with the Atlantean army is here. And right on time, there are hundreds of them. So at this point, the battle is all but won. And then Kieran's back too, so yay! Poppy heads to the carriage immediately and opens the door, finds the Duchess there. And Poppy, without a moment's thought, just boom, directly in the face. Punches her right in the face. It's like, hell yeah, right on. Poppy asks her where her brother is, where's Malik, and she responds that they are both in the same place. They're together. So, okay, is Malik alive? Yes, Malik is alive. The Duchess says, how else would we be able to ascend Tawny? What? So that's frightening. That's not good. Then the Duchess sees Poppy's marriage imprint, but she gets excited. Why is she excited? This woman is fucking crazy. She's literally revealing herself to be a fucking insane person.
Yeah.
So the Duchess says that the Queen will be thrilled to find out that Poppy has married the Prince of Atlantia. Had they known that that happened, none of this battle would have been necessary. She's done what the Queen has been trying to do for so long. What?
Right.
Like, and before Poppy's like, I'm over this, and she just shoves her dagger right through the chest.
She should.
Bye-bye, Duchess Tierman. Go join your shit of a husband in the afterlife.
Honestly, I could not have pictured a better vindicating death. Poppy stabs her in her carriage. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, especially where Poppy did not have the opportunity to kill the Duke because Castile killed the Duke. So she killed the Duchess. So it's also kind of a nice pairing of like, aw, he killed the husband, she killed the wife, just like the husband and wife. Aw, they're a cute little murder couple.
Those who slay together, stay together. Sorry for my brain.
Oh, this is incredible. That's 10 out of 10. Steele gets to the carriage and enters it. So just for everyone's perspective, because I did not picture it this way the first time, the carriage is just tall enough for him to stand in. So this carriage is like 6.5 feet tall, apparently. I always pictured carriages being enough room to like sit in, but we're in fantasy
That's this one.
So this is roomy. Oh boy, it's roomy. And he starts to tell her how upset he is with her for threatening her own life, but also in awe of her dedication to sacrifice herself to save the rest of them, and also himself by doing so. And he says he needs to feel her lips on his, needs all of her. She obliges, and they start making out heavy. Like, oh, okay. And so oh my God. So he turns her around and puts her knees on the bench where the Duchess's ashes are and hikes up her dress and tells her to brace herself. Stop twerking. What do you mean, brace yourself? So as he does so, he bites her throat and thrusts himself inside her at the same time. A signature move, if you will. And they fuck it out in the carriage over this woman's ashes.
Oh my God.
Oh, the first time reading this, I was slightly conflicted. I don't know if I felt that the scene was as hot as it was the first time. Because I'm like, that's over ashes, over a corpse. You guys just, oh my God, whoa. But this time I'm just like,
It's so the symbolism in it just goes on for days.
Days and days and days.
Days and days. Oh my gosh.
And would much rather this kind of post-battle sex rather than maybe other post-battle sex scenes we've seen. Just saying.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. So post-battle quickie is complete. After the battle, Poppy visits the injured in order to help where she can, but some still refuse to touch her or have her touch them, while others do accept it. And she speaks to an older Wolven who tells her that she needs to be careful, because while Castile may have chosen her, the rest of Atlantia didn't. And many older Atlanteans will remember the empath line and soul eaters. So, like, she's doing all that she can to, like, gain their favor and, you know, get on their good side. But this person's still just like, just watch yourself.
Yeah.
Just watch out. There's a lot of resentment here and a lot of fear behind these people. And it's, like, understandably so. If she were to actually be coming from a line of people that would suck, like, that would not suck the life, it would suck the energy out of a person, essentially, and feed off of them that way. That's terrifying. It's almost Dementor-like, too. So this person warns her that Castile's plans may have changed, but his father's, the king's, likely have not. And the king may very well still plan to use her as a bargaining chip for Malik. And the people follow their king. Even if Castile is their prince, he's not the king yet. And it's like, oh, didn't really think about that one. He's in line for the throne, but he ain't king yet.
Yeah, we got a whole section of politics we haven't even gotten into.
Oh, yes. Cut to later that day, Poppy is in the bath, again, when Castile returns, and he mentions that when she held the knife to her throat in battle, Kieran and the other Wolven heard her calling for them.
That's crazy.
Interesting. And we remember that this happened with Delano once, when he burst into her room thinking that she was yelling for him. So that's interesting, and Poppy tells him about her concerns regarding his father's plans. But he assures her he will not let anyone harm her. No one's touching her. But she also tells him about what the Duchess said in the carriage about Tawny. Because at first, when he originally asked her, like, did she say anything? Poppy was like, no, she didn't say anything. But after the fact, she does come clean, and she's like, hey, I kind of lied to you. She did say something. She said that Tawny was ascended and that Malik and Ian are being kept together. She also said that she was happy about this marriage, so that's something to keep in mind as well.
Lots to comb through and decipher.
Very much. Yeah. The next day, they have left Spess's End with Alistair's men, Jasper, and several other Wolven, including Beckett. They've reached the mist below the Skotos, and it is very, very thick. Like, you cannot see inches in front of you. And in order to stave off the panic, Castile distracts her by distracting her, telling her that he has so many ideas for what he could do since no one else could see them, given the thick mist. And by the time he's done talking sexy to her, she opens her eyes and finds the mist has receded a bit. It's not as thick, so not as panicky, not as claustrophobic. And above them, she notices golden leaves are, like, everywhere. Golden leaves, golden trees. We find out these are the trees of Ios because she sleeps here, and some believe she sleeps under the highest peak of the mountain. They all split up into smaller groups, as to that's a part of, like, the mist's alarm triggers is, like, large groups of people trying to enter will set it off, so they split into, like, groups of 3 or so. Groups of 3, and time to cross the mountain. So I wrote here, like, very similar to the forest, like we said earlier, trippy with your brain. The 3 of them, Castile, Poppy, and Kieran, find a place to camp for the night, but she still can't see more than a few inches in front of her. Castile and Kieran can see better because Atlanteans and Wolvens, and she's jealous. Kieran goes to get branches for firewood, and Castile's going to go to tend to Seti, and he tells Poppy, do not move from that spot. Like, you move, we will not be able to find you. It is that thick. So she notices that the mist is the magic, and it's interacting with her fingers and her hands. So, like, she's kind of holding it out, and it starts to play with her hands a little bit. For another Lord of the Rings reference, it reminds me of in the extended editions when Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn are going through to to call on the dead army to fulfill their oaths, and they're making their way through. It's very misty, and all these little like mist hands start coming out at Gimli, and he's like blowing them away from him. It's so great. So it reminds me of that. It's like the mist kind of gets into their own little fingers, and she's playing with it. So the mist is magical, and it can trick your mind and things. So that's kind of what they're getting at. But we do definitely get a sense that there's a little more to it. It's intentional.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just blatant, okay, magic is this. It's
right.
Yeah. It's making choices here. Kieran comes back and she sees the sleeping arrangements for the night. It's the three of them side by side, all nice and cuddly.
Love it.
Because, you know, body heat. And so they're all lying down, and they tease her about her dirty mind. Like, why does she care so much about the sleeping arrangements? Is she expecting something other than sleeping? But Castile assures her, like, nope, there will be only sleeping tonight. It's like, sad, but I get it. I wouldn't want to have sex in this place. This is terrifying. And as they all try to get some sleep, Poppy's mind races and questions begin. How surprising. Like, I'm pretty sure she wakes up Castile as he's sleeping by like just blurting out a question. He's just like, huh? What? Yep. And she's like, you know, feel bad for a second, but then not really. And she asks where the god Penelope sleeps, because that's her namesake. And Kieran responds, not here, I can tell you that. I loved that line. He's so cheeky. They like just beg her to go to sleep, and Castile offers to read for her from a certain diary. You know, Miss Willa had a very similar sleeping arrangement that he'd be happy to, you know, read to her about. And she immediately is like, nope, I'm good. And you're like, hush you. She does eventually fall asleep, and she wakes up a little bit later, feeling a little bit warm. And that must be because she's snuggled up against Castile, and Kieran is snuggled up against her. And her mind starts to wander in certain directions, but quickly puts a stop to it, and she falls back asleep and hears a whisper calling her name. Voice that is calling her is that of her father, and it sounds like it's a memory, her younger self wanting to go with him, but he says she cannot. Another voice enters and says, what a pretty little flower, what a pretty poppy. We now understand this is a memory of the night her parents died, but we do get more context for what happened that night. So there was clearly some kind of betrayal in the works, because she hears her mother say, how could you? So Poppy wakes up from the dream with a jolt, but she is surrounded by the mist still. And then she hears a womanly voice telling her to like stop, go back, take what's hers, and she'll know the truth and just go home. Then suddenly she's pulled to the ground by Castile. It's like, what the fuck's happening? Turns out she had wandered dangerously close to a cliff. Like, she was about to step off, essentially. And then as Castile they all kind of get their bearings a little bit, the mountain begins to shake, and the three of them kind of huddle close, and once the shaking stops, they're like, what the hell was that? And the two of them say, oh, that was a god going back to sleep. What? Kieran believes that the god Ios that he mentioned the night before had woken up to stop her.
Crazy.
She is important enough to warrant the gods waking up and helping her.
Yeah. I was going to say, because at the beginning of the book, you know, it's explained that the gods are sleeping, and it's a big deal, right? It's a big deal that they're sleeping. So the fact that she has possibly summoned one of them, that's wild. Crazy.
And you know, we get more information that she was not the only one affected by the mist, because Castile had a dream that she was locked in the same cage that he was held in. Awful. Kieran also had dreams, but we don't really get a look into what that was. Kieran believes that if Nyktos did give them his blessing at their wedding and Ios woke up to save her, then there's definitely something more happening here. Like, This has never happened before. Poppy's different. If she had the god's blessings, how could his parents and their people not accept her? Like, it only makes sense. And eventually they catch up to the other group and have reached the Pillars of Atlantia. which are said to be the markers or the resting places of 2 more gods. So the gods are just kind of scattered all over the place, all sleeping, all taking a snooze. So she has finally arrived home, Atlantia, and the city is beautiful. I thought about including a description, but it would have drawn this out even more. But like, the buildings are all very bright and light colored. They all are topped with greenery. So their buildings are all built to reflect the sun, not the dark. Like in Solus, all of the buildings were very dark and bleak and like black. These ones, they're very bright and warm and reflecting of the sun. There's greenery everywhere.
Like full of life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, take me to Atlantia, please.
Oh, yeah.
Alistair rejoins them as they enter the city. And surprise, surprise, Castile's parents are here. Who wants to meet the in-laws? However, Alistair first needs to discuss things with Castile alone, as she isn't crowned yet, which she accepts. She's like, nope, you go. And Beckett offers to take her to see the chambers of Nyktos. And they're called chambers because there are tombs underneath them. So they split up, and she goes with Beckett. And the ancients and deities are said to be buried there. So Poppy takes in the sight of the ocean. Like, she's like really taking it in. It feels like home. This place is so freaking beautiful. And she asks Beckett a question, doesn't hear him answer, so she turns back around and he's gone. But she is not alone. There's about a dozen other people surrounding her, and they are armed. And their anger and hatred towards her are potent. This is a trap. Poor baby Beckett. Beckett, what have you done? You helped. She healed you, Beckett.
You fixed your broken legs and you broke your hearts.
Damn it. So they all start telling her that she is not welcome here. She should never have crossed the mountains. They scream at her, calling her a soul eater, a whore. Like, how, but also by calling her soul eater, how would they have known of her gifts already? Like, word travels fast, but they just got here.
Yeah.
So, like, that's weird in itself. And she noticed that they're all holding something. Tempers begin to heighten, and one woman throws a rock at Poppy and hitting her. And Poppy's like, ow, but was that a fucking rock? And they continue to call her the whore of the ascended, and they start to stone her. Like, they are all just whipping stones at her.
Horrible.
What the actual fuck?
Horrible.
So she's essentially like crouched on the ground on her knees and starts to bleed into the floor. And as the blood seeps into the cracks in the ground, she notices roots start to grow, and then blood starts to pour down all around them. The sky is raining blood.
What?
What's going on?
What a homecoming.
Seriously, like, welcome home. Here's a stoning. Here's some blood for rain.
God almighty.
Oh my God. So the Atlanteans see this as an omen and a blessing to end her life. So Poppy gets angrier and angrier, and she starts to glow again. And then she starts feeding these emotions immediately back into them. So all of the hatred, the anger that they are projecting towards her, she essentially puts up a mirror and is like, pew, send that right back at them. And every single one, over a dozen of these people, they start contorting and crumbling to the ground. It's vile sounding, and they are dead. Their bodies are just mangled, and their jaws are hanging open like slack-jawed from just endless screaming. Oh, Poppy, what did you do?
Yeah, like, just think about that for a minute.
So they called her a soul eater, someone that takes the empath warriors would take the emotions that from others and direct it back at them. That's what made them so dangerous in battle. Looks like that's what she just did. So that's like a big uh-oh. Then she turns around and sees a massive tree has grown behind her. A blood tree has sprouted from the spot where she bled into the earth.
What?
And so more people start to show up, but they're not people, they're the Wolven. And so they're just kind of circling her around where she's standing in the middle of this kind of courtyard looking temple. And then Castile arrives. And oh, good, the king and queen have arrived too. Oh, shit. Well, hey, in-laws.
Hi, fam. Yeah.
Instead of any sort of reprimand happening, Castile kneels before her. And then Queen Iluana removes her crown and places it at Poppy's feet, ordering everyone else around her to bow before the one who carries the blood of the king of the gods, their new queen. What?
Joking.
What? She's a queen now? And oh, by the way, that's the end of the book.
That's it.
That's the end of the book.
That's
it. Fiend is done.
That's it.
What a cliffhanger. I also love the way that JLA writes these cliffhangers. At least for these first 2 books, it's very like, hey, here's like a peek of the plot and like reveals. This massive reveal just happens. And then I'm going to leave you hanging. But it's not like, oh my God, the fate, like it's not like she's, about to die and then, cutting us off or something. But so I just love that because it allows us to like be hyped and be excited without being like, oh my God, I'm so distraught. It's like
complete despair.
Yeah, it's not despair, it's excitement.
Yeah.
Because what the actual fuck?
Yeah, because they've crowned her as the queen and saying she carries the blood of Nyktos, the king of the gods. Like, what?
So, by that alone, okay, no duh, he gave the blessing by, for the wedding. And also, if she carries the blood of the king of the gods, it only makes sense that another god would wake up to defend her from something. So, like, those pieces are starting to get put into place. And it's just, it's
good.
Making more sense why Jasper said, maybe you're not really part of the empath line. But then after what she just did to all of these people, it's like, well, maybe she is. We don't really know. So it's just, there's so many questions still, but what a fucking book.
So like, 5-star for me, no questions asked.
It absolutely is.
5 honeydews. 5 honeydews.
That's what we're going to rate them, baby. That's it. That's our rating system, 5 honeydews.
Okay, so let's backtrack real quick. If we were going to do From Blood and Ash, how many honeydews for you for From Blood and Ash?
I'm honest, I would rate them all 5 honeydews.
All 5 honeydews? Okay. All right. 5 honeydews.
I gotta. That first book is just so good at setting us up for everything to come. And don't worry, like, as far as where I'm up to in the series, there are going to be other honeydew ratings. They're not all going to be 5 stars. I'm going to tell you that. We love them all dearly.
Yeah, but
they're not all going to be 5 honeydews.
This one, and
this just knocks it out of the park.
It does.
We get the most amazing slow burn. We get wonderful love confessions. We get a wedding scene. The smut, multiple smut scenes, like, it just gives and gives and gives and gives. And it's so, so
great. The action, the character development, everything.
Yeah. And this is literally just them leaving New Haven to get to Atlantia.
Yeah.
This is the journey book.
It is.
This isn't even, like, yes, we've reached, like, our local destination, but, like, now we have to do everything else. Yep. Like, now everything else has to start to go, okay, now we got to go get Malik, now we go get Ian, what's going on with Tawny? Like, this was only a book about their journey, and it's just incredible. It is marvelous. I gotta say, I am personally incredibly nervous for Poppy, because the way that she's just killed all of these people.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Especially, with a force that she doesn't even know that she has. Like,
yeah. Doesn't have control over, for sure, because it does start happening that way because she's so overwhelmed by all of those feelings. So I'm wondering if it is a control thing. Is it the culling? Is it because she's on Atlantean soil? Like, there's so many factors that could play into what's going on. Yeah. And unfortunately, we just have to wait until the Crown of Gilded Bones to find out.
Right.
So any final thoughts on their relationship? Maybe some Kieran thoughts too?
Yeah. Poppy and Castile, I think that we're in for it, obviously. Since she's been crowned, does that put her over Castile's ranking, right? Because he's technically still a prince, or would that automatically indoctrinate him as king, since they're married? Is he going to override his father's position? Is that going to bump them up in the political hierarchy. We don't know. We don't know. I think that they are locked in and they are on point with each other, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good to see where they go. But with her evolving, with her coming into her power, what would, like, I'm wondering since her and Castile are married and they have this bond now, right? We have mention of the joining. It's just gonna be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, it's like Kieran is the least third wheel a third wheel can be.
Yeah.
Like he's the best kind where he just fits in seamlessly and it's not even like a third wheel. Like he's just also there with them. And yeah, I think I can't wait to see how Castile and Poppy's like relationship also evolves from here, because it's like they've finally 100% honest with each other about their feelings. They can finally fully like embrace each other and not feel any sort of like hesitation for it. So first of all, I'm super excited to see that, how that translates into the sex scenes of the next book. That's what's going to be delectable. And also just to see, how Kieran's relationship, especially with Poppy, starts to see how that formulates and grows, because now it's like, all right, not only is she kind of this person that was used as a pawn and then got married, but now she's like a legitimate partner to Castile.
She's got like reputation and standing now. Yeah.
Exactly. That being said, some fan art time, because the fan art this week is just, it is spicy. It is, it's lovely. So once again, Alex Oxy coming fucking through, and with this feeding scene, and holy shit.
Okay.
I love Castile's little teefies. That's really cute. But yeah, just like Kieran's there and he's got his hand on her. Poppy's just totally lost in it. It's just beautiful. I love that art. The next piece of art is going to be Kieran and Delano. I was so pumped to come across this art. This is by @itswibble_art. So ITSWIBELL_art. We'll have their name up on the video. And so they did 2 of the pieces of art for this week. First is going to be Delano and Kieran that we're showing off here. I love their outfits. Like we got their whole like the red shawl situation, and they're all like they're strapped up with their, the bloodstone, and it's just, I love the aura that they're giving off here. And then the final piece, also by the same artist, is Poppy and Castile at, like, it's the wedding moment when they're joining hands and bleeding over their rings. And also, can I just say, I love how curvy Poppy is in this art. I know that we've obviously made many points to point out that like Poppy is a curvy girl. A lot of the art hasn't showcased it so much. It's included, it's implied, but it's not like really showcased. Like here we have, her arms are a little bit thicker. She's got some nice boobs. She's got nice titties. And we love you, Poppy. But like you see the detail of the diamond necklace and her hair and the dress, and like him, and they're nailing it. It's beautiful. I freaking love this art. It's probably one of my favorites that we've come across so far. And well done. Just well done.
All 10 of you all across the board.
Absolutely. You all get 10 honeydews actually for this art.
That's right.
So, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. My, oh my. What a hefty book that was.
She was thick. She real thick.
She's thick like Poppy.
Thick.
And you know how I said these episodes were going to get shorter as we were learning as we go? Well, JLA actually visited me in my dreams and gave me a smackdown saying, you thought wrong, because she just pours so much excellent and detailed world building into this that it's impossible for us to skim over it. Like, you have to keep doing them at this length, because it's the only way to fully get the grasp of everything and fully be immersed in the story of it. And I love the fuck out of it. So I will never complain about the length of these.
It's awesome having not only a community of people to share these interests with, but to be doing this together and just appreciating the love for the series and giving it the praise that it so much deserves.
It for sure does. It is such a incredibly wonderful series. I'm surprised and not surprised that it took me so long to read it, just where I didn't read for quite a long time. But yeah, since getting back into reading, it's been full steam ahead. And once again, Den Mothers of the BBC, shout out to you guys for getting us on this, because this From Blood and Ash Train has clearly changed our lives in more ways than one. First example being in front of you now.
Yep.
So once again, we love you and we thank you.
And tune in next week as we get catapulted into Crown of Gilded Bones.
Woo! And shout out, you can also find us on Instagram. So make sure to go follow us on Instagram at Blood, Books, and Binge-Watching. Give us a follow. And that way you can stay up to date with all of the latest and greatest news. So thanks once again, and we can't wait until next time.
Okay.